You're ready.
I'd like to call the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners Ways and Means Committee meeting for September 7th, 2021 to order at 4:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright?
Here.
Commissioner Hughes?
Here.
Commissioner Laring?
Here.
Commissioner Nash?
Here.
Commissioner Pago?
Here.
Chairman Skolnick?
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins?
Here.
Chair Seer?
Here. I'd like to call for the approval of the minutes of August 24th, 2021.
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Okay, moving on. Item 4 is public comment on an agenda item. Any agenda item, you have 2 minutes. Is there any public comment on an agenda item?
There's nobody online, Commissioner Sir.
Nobody online? Okay. Hearing none. Item number 5 is the presentation BIS courtroom technology.
Hello, Sandra Banner, I'm the Circuit Family Court Administrator, and
Patrick Finnegan, the District Court Administrator. And we also have with us
Andy Stigner, Michigan Account Manager for BIS Digital.
at the last Ways and Means Board Committee 2 weeks ago, this motion on our new court recording system solution was postponed until today. And one of the items that was requested from the commissioners was a brief demo of this court recording solution that we're hoping that you're going to fund today. So Andy is here with somebody else from this organization who's with us via Zoom to do a very brief demonstration so you can see what it is you would be purchasing.
We'll put the caveat on that when they came, we sat in this very room several months ago when they gave our demonstration, and they gave us about 2.5 hours worth, I think, total. So it's going to be a much more condensed demonstration from them, but by all means.
Gentleman from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Jade Calder, our National Sales Manager, was going to be online. I don't know if he dropped off, but he was going to share a PowerPoint presentation. Quite frankly, 10 minutes doesn't give us enough time to see what you want to see.
I'm here.
He's there.
As Sandra and Patrick alluded to, we spent over 2 hours in here doing a full-blown presentation. Let the court staff, recorders, and everybody have a hands-on with the technology, explain what it would do, what the investment was for. And with all due respect, 10 minutes is not going to give us enough time to do that. We can certainly do what
There's somebody on the,
certainly.
there's somebody on there with, in a boat, it looks like.
There it is. So Jade, okay. Jade Calder, like I said, he's our regional vice president of sales down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I report to him, and Jade does have a PowerPoint he wanted to share, so we can certainly share a PowerPoint with you. And I guess we'd open up the floor and ask, what actually is it that you want to see? Does the board want to see? Do you actually want to see the software? I mean, it's designed to help improve audio and video recording within the courts. It's also designed to improve evidence presentation, fairness in the courtroom for all attorneys, not just those that have technology.
And Andy, one of the things that I can address, I don't know if everybody can hear me all right, but I apologize, the boat thing, that was, I don't even remember even having that as my background, but so now you could actually see my office. Yes, as Patrick indicated, we were there a couple months ago and the presentation was well over 2.5 hours. So what I can do is we can go through the PowerPoint presentation. As far as seeing the actual equipment, as you can tell from the price of this, there's a lot of equipment and it's actually not possible to show it all to you remotely or show it all to you even in person. But what we can do is we can discuss what we're able to do. And this is a multifaceted solution. And so what it enables or covers is multiple channels of audio and video recording for the courtrooms. So what that does is allows the recording to be that the systems that you are currently using be brought up to more modern, up-to-date standards. The county has been using digital recording systems for decades. And what this does is this replaces this. I know that we have worked, have been in communication with the county, at least for the last 4 years, of updating the outdated platform that's there now. This is basically the same platform that we have in Ottawa County. They have been using us for, I think, the last 10 years. They updated about 2.5 years ago, and this is a newer version of what they have. What this would provide is multiple channels of video. So there'd be multiple cameras in the courtroom, numerous microphones in the courtroom. I think one of the courtrooms even has 12 channels of audio. Most of them are 8 channels of audio with, I think, 4 or 5 cameras. We also have document cameras. So if anybody presents evidence based upon a document or paper or physical evidence, whether it be a gun, a knife, or whatever it might be, that can be placed underneath the document camera and displayed throughout the monitors. We are utilizing existing monitors in the courtroom. The county had purchased some in the fairly recent future, or in recent past, I'm sorry. And so what we're able to do is take advantage of those monitors there. There was no reason to replace those. And the technology also allows people to present evidence based upon smartphones, based upon iPads, based upon tablets or laptops. Instead of the county or the courts being responsible for maintaining programs that support all attorneys or evidence that's going to be presented, what this solution does is allows people to bring, or attorneys to bring in the evidence on the platform that they have. That way the county is not responsible, or the court is not responsible providing, making sure software is up to date. You're on the latest version of PowerPoint, you're on the latest version of Microsoft, you're on the latest version of whatever law software that is currently being used. So this allows people to BYOD, or bring your own device platform. And we also have the ability to do annotations. So if somebody brings in a video or somebody brings in a document, and you want to mark that up online in the court, witness, where were you standing? Is this the view that you saw? They can circle that, and that will display across the monitors in the courtroom. It will also, everything being presented in the court is now recorded as part of the record. And so it's basically, if you think about it, and this even dates us, TiVo, or your recording in your house, everything that takes place in that room, whether it be a Zoom conference like we're doing right now, whether it be a in-person court, whether it be a virtual court, whether it be a hybrid court, which eliminates the shutting. This system will also eliminate the shutting down of the courts that we all experienced over the last 18 months. And I think everybody's pretty much back to the new normal. And so this will equip the court with a platform that allows for social distancing as well. So if we need to move people from one courtroom to another courtroom, the courtrooms will be able to communicate with each other. So if you have somebody's in one and somebody's in another courtroom, this will allow us to share the audio and the video from courtroom to courtroom, as well as inside that particular courtroom. So I can share my screen if that's allowed, or if you want me to show you just a few screenshots of this, we can do this. So if that does make life easier, I don't know if I'm locked down or not. Share. I don't know which. So what we can do is I'll kind of skip through this. By the way, BIS Digital was founded in 1982. So we're a 39-year-old company. We have over 6,000 courtrooms. We have over 300 courtrooms there in the state of Michigan. In Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, I think we're in the proximity of 900 courtrooms between Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And our corporate headquarters, where I'm located today, is Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Tomorrow I'm going to be in Ohio. Next week I'm going to be, or shortly after that, I'm going to be in Michigan. So I'm all over the place, but I am actually a Midwesterner. So don't let the Florida address scare you guys. I've torn up a lot of snowmobiles in Michigan in my youth. So, so This is, well, where are we going to go here? I'll get you to a, so basically what we're going to do is we're designing a system that can be either in-person, hybrid, or virtual. So the platform that we're designing allows us to do that. The audio recording system is capable of up to 32 channels of audio. It's capable of 9 channels of video. Dante simply means that the audio can be pushed across the network, and that's what allows us to move audio from one room to another room. It has annotations, so your electronic court reporters, if they're being utilized, have the ability to take notes, and we can jump to specific locations in that recording instantaneously or for transcript purposes. Any evidence presented in the room during the trial is attached to the digital recording system. We have the ability to do screen capture, which means if we use Zoom, if we use Teams, if we use GoToMeeting, any sort of third-party sort of video conferencing software, to whether we bring in remote witnesses, expert witnesses, or have low transcript hearings, let's say misdemeanors held 100% virtually, we can capture that into the digital recording. We also have a new piece that's being rolled out right now, which is a video conferencing system built directly into our recording, which is basically Zoom on steroids, designed specifically for courtrooms. Every person joining remotely would have its own audio and video channel, just as they do in the courtroom. So that is a piece that can be added to this platform that we're doing. This is just a video or this is a screenshot. So we have the recorder over here on the left. We have a video arraignment here, which you use Polycom right now. We tap into your Polycom system that you're currently using, which is connected to every jail in the State Department of Corrections. We also have integration with case management systems, so that eliminates the repetitiveness of data entry, so that there are fewer mistakes potentially made, and allows us to go find recordings much quicker. This is our web access, so we can control the courtrooms across the internet or across the network. I'm sorry. So if you don't want to have a court reporter in each courtroom, you can run this from a centralized location, or you can run it from in the courtroom. The option becomes the courts. This is our virtual court. This allows people to join remotely. This piece was not included, but can be added. Every remote participant has their own audio and video channel. So, for example, this is Andy here in the middle here, and this is the U.S. District Courts in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're doing a test with them. So each person joining that video conference, as you do as in a live courtroom, they're on their own audio channel, which makes it easier for court transcripts, as the transcript is generated by a human after the fact.
Yeah. So it's not really a question. The debate that we had over this equipment wasn't necessarily about the equipment. I think we trust the court to purchase the equipment. They went outside of our parameters for this equipment, and made their decision. The decision on the equipment isn't our decision.
Okay.
All the discussion, if I recall correctly, around this was about terminating an employee and starting this and paying for it out of American Rescue dollars. I don't want to be rude to the presenters, and I trust our court system to purchase what they want. But this decision about what they're going to purchase, our decision is where the funds are going to come from. And right now, this came up to the board to come out of the ARC funds, which we haven't determined how we're going to spend. The equipment is irrelevant. They're making the decision. My point is, this presentation isn't part of our discussion. The discussion is whether we want to jumpstart the American Rescue dollars and pay for it out of that, or we wait and determine how we're going to spend the American Rescue dollars. I don't remember if there was comment or questions about the equipment we were going to buy. It was very minimal. Most of it was about the employee that's going to be terminated, and how we're going to pay for this, out of which budget item. I'm sorry to be rude to the presenters on that issue, but
Yeah, I agree. This is not really what I
Yeah,
was
I was.
expecting.
So, Mr. Chair,
Judge.
Yes.
so to answer Commissioner Loring, there was some question as far as flexibility of the, and that was a good question, is this, you know, to transfer this over if we redid the 6th floor and how flexible the system would
If you
be.
set it up now on the 4th or 5th floor, could we transfer it easily to the 6th floor?
Yes, we've done that multiple times where we put a system in and moved it to another new building, new location.
Whether it was software or whatever. So I think that would be pertinent to the discussion.
Very scalable.
Just understand.
Most of the equipment we're purchasing has a 5 to 10 year life cycle. So
So the hardwiring was the question about the hardwiring of the system. We hardwired into our court systems now versus the part of how we're going to spend the American Rescue dollars is renovation of the courthouse. And then we would have to rewire the system into the new courts at a later date. And how transferable and how much work would that take?
are you speaking of a new building or just renovation of the room though, right? It's just a matter of rewiring, basically taking what we have in that particular courtroom. But we've done that in the past where we know a customer's going to be moving into another location and we already do the wire pulls for that location while we're doing the first phase. So the wiring is essentially almost completed versus just coming back. We've done that in new construction where we've done the wiring up front. So we just have to come back and do the final wiring. That's the last phase.
Well, and the one thing you're going to want to keep in mind is your retention requirements. You have legal retention requirements to keep these recordings for a certain amount of years. What you have to decide is how many different systems do you want to have. So if you're doing a handful of courtrooms and you're remodeling a few courtrooms and you want to keep a couple on the old platform, you want to keep a couple on the new platform, you now have to manage those older platforms for that much longer, and also hope that the older platform continues to operate while you're waiting to do the remodel on the complete courthouse. So the ability to move these from one room to another. I mean, we just did one in Indianapolis, Indiana, where they have 72 courtrooms, and we put the audio recording system in the existing courthouse because their contract was up and they did not want to continue on the old platform that they're on. Now that's the recording side. So we have a couple pieces here. We have recording as well as presentation technology. So we will simply, in Indianapolis, what we do is we're moving that software all over to the new building when it's ready in November. So the ability to move it from room to room is there to a limited basis, but a lot of this is permanent wired, but it's cable, it's wire. So if the remodel, and you have to decide, I don't know what your remodel time frame is, if it's 1 year, if it's 3 years, that is something that certainly can be done. We can, if the room is being remodeled, that cable can be put in place, and when you're back in that room, it's being used again.
So my concern would be is if we remodel the courtroom and it's based on an engineering process and design process for the current courtrooms, that in 3 to 5 years, we're going to have to buy new equipment because things have changed, or we don't have a design yet, even for our new courtrooms. Everything's going to change, but I see you shaking your head. So you're saying there'll be new equipment purchased just wiring?
Well, no, what I'm saying is you're not going to reinvent courtrooms have pretty much visually and where people stand and sit have not changed. I mean, how long has your system in your courtroom been the same? It's been that way for decades and decades and decades. So what's going to happen is when it comes time to remodel, and remember, this is technology. Technology is going to wear out. Technology is going to change. In 5 years, is there going to be new technology? There absolutely is going to be a new technology. No different than in your room right now. You're all VGA based. So when we came into that room, you have to bring special adapters, and there hadn't been a machine made with a VGA connector on it for the last 2 or 3 years. And so will technology change? It will, but I think if you're looking at, okay, I'm going to remodel my system in my courthouse in 5 years, your platform that you're on right now is probably not going to last 5 years. So what happens is you put yourself into a rush scenario where you have to make hasty decisions to do that. I know this is a project that Patrick and Sandra have been trying to do, and I think and funding is obviously the number one concern and question. And I know they've been wanting to do some project like this for the last 3 or 4 years. But no, you're not going to have to. We're not going to have to reinvent the wheel. The concept will be the same in each room. Pieces of technology in the next 5 years are certainly going to change. There is no doubt in that. That is as sure as we're going to be breathing tomorrow. So, well, hopefully we're breathing tomorrow. But yes, technology will change. But the concept and the room locations, the layouts of the rooms, we're just simply moving from point to point. And a lot of this is actually going to be for the presentation side, wireless. So it's the mics and the cameras that will be the hardwired, and the monitors. Inputs will be wireless now.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to move now, since we're going to discuss
Mr.
what
Chair,
we're discussing.
we have a judge
I'm
that
sorry,
would like to
go
say
ahead.
Good afternoon, Judge Gregory Pittman, Zion Judge, Family Court, 14th Circuit. I just stepped up because I heard Commissioner Learning speak
Judge
to
Pittman, can we move this to unfinished business? That this issue's up again at the end of the meeting here under unfinished business, and deal with the employee situation there.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. I just stepped up because I heard it.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
All right, we're moving on to items for consideration. First item is WM 21/09-86 to approve payment of the accounts payable of $13,767,414.96, covering the period from August 6, 2021 through August 26, 2021 for checks and P-card and EFT payments for the period covering July 1st through July 31st, 2021, as presented by the county clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and support on this item. Are there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
No.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Chair Seer,
Yes,
8 yes, 1 no.
that item passes. The next item is WM 21/09-87, which is to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item? Hearing none, can I have a roll call vote on this, please?
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
No.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Chair Seer,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
And that item passes. Next item is WM 21/09. And it is to approve the civic clerk agenda and meeting management software purchase at a price not to exceed $64,560 for a 5-year term as the authorized board chair to execute the agreement and amend the budget accordingly.
So moved.
We have a motion in support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
I just have a question. Sorry.
Chair Pagel,
Look
or,
at my
Mr.
notes for a
Pagel.
second here. Question was.
I have a question. on your
Go ahead,
meeting.
go ahead, because I gotta
Go
find
ahead.
what my question was.
Sure, I'll be
Yeah,
right.
just wanted to know who was involved in the decision. I noticed that the amount of 64,000 is like significantly less than the other bids, and I just wondered if we were making sure to correct for quality as well as.
Because we had our IT involved, we had public works involved, Kathy and Kristen, it's a group of people involved in this, yes.
And there was no concern about how much cheaper it was. I mean, sometimes cheaper is not better.
No, it is well vetted and they
It
spent
was
a lot
well
of time in presentation, and I think also you've seen the presentation as well, so it was well done.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to, and I appreciate you sending the video too. That's very helpful.
Did you watch?
I watched it. I think we're gonna like it. Really.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be helpful.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment.
Yes, Commissioner Larry.
How is this going to be paid for?
One item on there, we put on there, non-budget under fiscal year 2021. I propose that we go ahead and take it out of 2022 and adjust the 2022 fiscal year budget accordingly. And the proposal is to take this to the IT chargeback, but only charge the departments listed here who actually put the agendas together, which is the clerk's willing to pay for it, Public Works, which there's 3 departments there, admin obviously will help pay for it. So there's a group of us paying for this. Out
Through
of
the IT chargeback. I think that's more than
That
fair.
makes sense.
Yeah, and it's fair for everybody.
Any other questions? Commissioner Bago?
No, I'm good. My
You're
question was
good?
answered. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions on this item? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Chair Seer,
Yes.
9 yes.
Yes, that item passes. The next item is WM 21/09-89 to appoint Sarah Hugh, sure, Human Resource, thank you. Human Resources Manager as employer delegate to the 2021 Municipal Employees Retirement Systems MERS annual meeting, October 7th through 8th, 2021, and to authorize Janine Ringers to attend as the employee delegate and Commissioner Skolnick and Ann James to attend as guests.
Second.
Motion and support on this item. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. That item passes. To the end of the next item, WM 21/09-90 to waive the procurement level quotes and authorize the purchase of UPSs or uninterruptible power supply from CDW to replace the existing EOL end of life units at both data centers for the cost of $81,404.54 based on department level quotes. In addition, contract with Newkirk Electric to install the equipment for a cost not to exceed $23,930.73 and increase the budget accordingly for this purchase and installation.
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Yes. What budget year is this for?
2021.
Is the urgency of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Can I get a clarification on this?
Commissioner Waring?
So it's $81,000 for the equipment, and $23,000 for installation. Is that what I'm understanding? That's
We have Mark Hansen and Matt Fair in the audience to address the partnership there.
Matt Fair, Public Works. The installation includes, right now, we don't have the power capacity to those rooms. So we need a new transformer here on the fourth floor and a new wiring to the UPSs, and at the central services building, we need to run new lines from the power panels into the, this is put together by electrical engineer from Newkirk, and that includes the cost to install it.
okay. And what will this leave? So now we've changed the 2021 budget. We bought new cameras today and now this equipment. So what left is in the 2021 excess funds?
Not much.
That's a good answer.
I think between these
We'll
two.
do, like we did last one, change the budget accordingly, but this year is to make sure our system up and running. It has Mark Hansen tried to discuss it, but it has turned off on us twice, I think, this year. And the concerns it doing it again. When we say go off, it actually affects the courts and South Campus. people don't have access to computers. So even if it comes out of the unassigned fund balance, it's important enough to have this fixed. But I can have, to answer your question, I can have Angela come up here and pull out of a bucket of money somewhere, right?
We're gonna ask you this several times.
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, this is for both fiscal 21 revised budget and fiscal 22 recommended budget. The total right now that we are going into assigned fund balance is right around 900,000. We had originally budgeted for 1.8 million. So there is a little bit of wiggle room in, as long as we are continuing to go into that unassigned amount that we have budgeted.
So we can handle
Mr.
this
Larry,
and
yes,
the
go ahead, please.
cameras.
So this is coming, it says it was non-budgeted, but you say it was, a portion of it was budgeted for 2022 already.
No, we have a deficiency in our 22 budget of $731,000 right now budget.
Can you repeat that?
That's an excess.
That's the number that Beth shared with us, that we're taking the assigned fund balance out of that to help cover the 2022.
Correct. If you remember from Beth's budget presentation, she showed that originally in the last budget cycle, we budgeted for $1.8 million in deficiency. We were required to put that into assigned fund balance because we budgeted a deficiency. So currently with this fiscal 121 budget that was just approved today, that would put us right around 193,000, excuse me, negative. That did not take into account the cameras that we added today. So that would also bring that number up by that $68,000. For the fiscal 22 budget, the recommended budget, we have a deficiency of 731,000. So between those two numbers, we still have just under $1 million available in assigned from our original projection during the last cycle.
So you're
Does that answer your
comfortable.
question?
Kind of.
Well, I guess we want to know, do we have the money to buy this one?
Seems like a loaded question, right? We do. We've already budgeted for 1.8 deficiency, and we're coming in under that in both years.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
9 yes.
9 yes, that item passes. The next item is WM 21/09-91 to allow the Muskegon County's IT department to provide IT services to Empowering Ex-Offenders in Transition, Exit, a municipal nonprofit, for an annual fee of $8,363.16 plus a one-time setup fee of $1,000, and authorize the board chair to sign the contract agreement.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
I have one question. Go ahead.
Commissioner Nash.
My question, I guess, we're providing full IT services for that.
Mark Hanson, please.
Mark Hanson, IT manager for Muskegon County. Yes, we're providing full VDI and IT services for the exit program.
Okay. Just for the services we're giving them, not for the entire IT.
Just for the little office 2 blocks over, has about 4 employees in it.
Right. So do we have to dedicate someone to that?
No. No.
So it can be done in-house?
Correct.
So we're not managing all their networks, wiring and whatever.
The network wiring is already in place. We'll just be bringing in some VDI towers for them and setting up that remote desktops for them, as we do for any other small department.
Any other questions?
That covered mine. Yeah, it's not gonna take any manpower away from the county at all. So that was a thank you.
Larry?
That was,
My question is about the budget again. I see this isn't a budgeted item.
it's income.
This
It's
is
income.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you to, to the county for, helping our community neighbors as much as we can. That's a really good thing to do.
It's a good program.
Appreciate that. Yes, it's a good program.
Okay, oh, yes, Commissioner Nash. Sorry.
I thought you were gonna vote. Go ahead.
One more question. Are we still, are they buying any space from us at all? Does this include space?
No, not. by
Just
now.
IT services?
Just IT services.
And how are we doing with that? Are we doing any more with our community providers? And are they looking for, I know we had space that we could.
Space on our servers?
Yes. I haven't heard much about that lately.
Yeah, there will be some space on our servers. I'm sorry, I thought you meant building space. There will be some space on our servers, but it's very small.
Right. No, I just know that was a little bit of a revenue stream that we had with the IT, and we were having different providers that were leasing that space from us. But I haven't heard anything about it in a while. I was just wondering where that was at, where it was going.
Are you interested in what contracts you still have in place?
Right, or if we've gotten any new ones.
Yeah, we can give an update at full board on that, Mark. You want to provide a list of who is currently outside the county?
Right.
Right.
Mark, I don't think they're the only department. I think, don't we have other departments that work outside the county?
Legalization does, for example. Yeah. I think it does. That's it.
All right. So I guess I don't understand this motion, how this is income. Can you explain how this is income to me? I see this as a cost.
They will be paying us $8,300 per year to provide IT support for their employees. So that is
Like other departments do.
United Way, for example, don't they? They still do.
Yes.
We still have United Way.
Moreland Township has a similar contract in place with us currently.
Sullivan Township as well.
Sullivan Township was not.
So they're going to be utilizing our IT department and then
Paying them.
And then paying us for that.
HR does it with City of Muskegon.
all right, thank you.
Can I have a roll call vote on this, please?
Commissioner Wilkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Holy Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
Commissioner Laring?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Commissioner Pego?
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick?
Yes.
Chair Seer?
Yes, that item passes. Next item, WM 21/09-92, to authorize the chairs and county corporate council's signatures to accept FAA grant offer 3-26-071-047-2021 for the Muskegon County Airport in the amount of $406,469.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Hughes.
Is this over and above what they get paid? Does this come out of what they get paid, or just is this for
Right.
work out there? Or,
Oh,
yeah, thank you.
Bob.
Bob Lukens, Community Development Director. This is the construction portion of this project. So it's for crack sealing,
Okay.
for design, for the taxiway realignment, and for the beacon.
Okay,
So it's the
thank you.
construction portion.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harvey Wright, please.
Yes, this is rather lengthy contract included. Can I assume that the lawyers have reviewed it? Because there's a lot that we could be in trouble for.
I have gotten a copy by email. We have gone through it initially, but we'll go back.
Discount is qualified for 50% off.
Provided that the board has to authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the county, which I suspect will be done at a subsequent meeting. Yeah.
So you will have a chance to say if everything's okay. And
yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
That's different than what this says, because it said the grant offer was received by the county September 3rd, stipulated that FAA needed to sponsor signature by no later than September 10th. And the grant has been reviewed by county corporate council and has been signed by the county chair and council. That is-
It has not been signed yet.
That's a little premature.
Where's this at?
They're
It's at
commonly
the
done like
bottom of
that.
the, Motion.
It's in the summary.
It's the last
Last
paragraph at the bottom of the motion.
Yeah, what we're looking for is a special full board meeting on Thursday for us to sign it. So it's not been
That's why we're having.
signed before no later than the 10th, September 10th.
Friday?
I didn't sign it. Right, but these papers.
It's common like that in a lot of our motions. I don't know if you guys just missed those before.
Can't scroll. We're getting some.
It has to be approved by committee and full board before they can sign it. Which will happen. hopefully.
Mark signed it, but there.
Well, that's just the motion itself. We're thinking-
Mr. Chair, I just had
Yes.
one question. Is this the full grant agreement? I read this already. Is there anything else or is this the
This
complete
is a
grant?
full grant agreement
Okay,
with the FAA.
okay, thank you. I didn't see an issue with it. The only thing, if I could ask someone from administration to please forward the executive order 14005, please, to our emails. That's the only thing I didn't get to review. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego.
No, just until I can read that last final part of the executive order 14005. Thank you.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins. Chair Seer.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
That item passes. The next item, WM 21/09-93, to accept a lease between the County of Muskegon and the United States of America for a hangar located at the Muskegon County Airport currently occupied by the U.S. Coast Guard. The rental rate for the new agreement is set at $24,456 with annual renewals through 2026.
Support.
A motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just so did the rent go up or stay the same?
It did, it increased by $712
And then-
compared to this current year.
and I'm assuming that that's the market rate that we would be charging for those. hangars?
The government sets that rate for us. We either accept it or not.
Is it the market rate?
It's close.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Chair Stone.
The Coast Guard paid for that building to begin with.
They did, yes.
So we're just really running the land.
Correct.
Any other questions?
On page 141, sorry, to make sure I talk about this. There is a change that they want us to do. They want us, and maybe it's came from corporate counsel. On page 141, where you see the cross out, you type in County Muskegon. It actually would say Muskegon County, Michigan. That's a change. So, thank you.
Anything else? Have a roll call vote on this item, please.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego.
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Chair Seer.
Yes.
9 yes.
9 yes, and that item passes. Now we're going to move on to unfinished business. And in unfinished business, we have item number WM 21/08-84, which was postponed to this date, September 2021.
So move.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and support on that item. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item? Yes, Commissioner Nash.
If we're voting to support this, how do we efficient or effectively make it so that we determine where these funds come from?
On this one here, it says fiscal year 21. I would suggest we change it to fiscal year 22 and take it out of the unassigned like you did previously last year at this time. And then we'll go back and if the board accepts the taking this out of the American Rescue Dog sometime in the future, then we'll go back and claim that.
I'll motion to adjust the make a friendly moment to amend fiscal year 2022.
And I will support that.
All right, any other discussion, any other questions, comments, or concerns on this item? All right, let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Chair Seer,
Yes.
9 yes.
9 yes, and that item passes. The next item is WM 21/08-85, which is postponed to this meeting to approve the circuit family court physician transition and reorganization plan.
So moved.
I have a motion and support. Questions, concerns on this item?
Did we skip 84?
No, we can say it.
We just voted on it.
We just voted.
Judge Pittman, would you like to address the issue that we talked about earlier, please?
Thank you, Chairman. So, excuse me, that's something really, really weird going on with my throat. I believe you had a meeting where the discussion was about the termination of an employee in relation to the motions that are before you regarding the recording equipment. I can bring you a little historical perspective to help you understand what was going on, give some context to what you heard. This discussion began regarding this particular position, which is a court reporter position that was in Judge Graves's court back in the years up to the time that Judge Graves left the bench. This discussion really began in earnest in about 2006, that far back. And the agreement that was never put in writing, I know it's a room full of lawyers who are judges and nobody put anything in writing. But it was because it was an accommodation that made sense to us both operationally, and more importantly, it made sense to us on the human level, if you would, that that position would remain, even though we were transitioning then from court reporters to the final court that you are attempting to fund now, that you're intending to fund now. So the agreement was, the understanding was that the court reporter would remain, that position would remain through Judge Graves's tenure. We agreed to that. Judge Smedley was elected to the seat that Judge Graves held. We're in the midst of the transitions of these courts to video courts. And one of the things that kind of intervened was the imaging process that we undertook back around 2014-ish. And that took all the oxygen, if you commissioners who were here remember, that took all the oxygen out of the room. That became job one because literally we did not have any means by which to accomplish what we needed to accomplish. So what happened was the court reporter position sort of kind of just faded to the back burner. Nobody made it an issue. We weren't ready to move to those courts on the 6th floor to be automated to become video type courtrooms. So that position continued. We got through the imaging issue, and that's up and running. And the discussion came back to now we are at the point, and we agreed at that point as imaging was going on that Judge Smedley's courtroom will be the last to be equipped as a video courtroom, thereby allowing further time for the court reporter position to continue. We came to in 2019, 2020, and it was at that point that we are ready. That's what you all are contemplating. And there was a final discussion amongst us that the court reporter position would remain through, I believe, the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken, the end of this year, which now is 15 years removed from when this discussion began and was contemplated. Ladies and gentlemen of the commission, it's not that we decided that we were going to move a human being out of a position in favor of machines on a whim. This is a discussion that has been taking place, has been delayed and moved and delayed and moved. And thankfully, I'm glad. I would much prefer to see this person or any person stay in their job over the obvious requirement that our courts and courts around the state are under, which is to move to the more efficient video system. So it's not a matter of this being an issue that comes about in order to help fund or provide the impetus. This is the final step of a process that began in 2006. I certainly answer any questions if any of you have any questions.
Questions, anybody? All right.
Thank you,
Yes.
that's very helpful.
Thank you.
Judge Pittman?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to, I didn't realize it was 15 years.
It actually was probably more than that, but we go to 2006, which was the beginning of Judge Graves' last term. He went from 2006 through to the end of 2012. But this was back during the Castile years.
Thank you for.
Weren't you here, Bob?
Such a good explanation.
You were here 15 years ago.
I don't remember 15 years. I don't know.
I forget a lot too.
It gets worse as you get older.
We're getting to that age, man.
You said something like that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this item? All right, hearing none. Let's have a roll call vote on this, please.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
No.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hobie Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Chair Seer,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
That item passes, and I have to have another meeting that I have to get to, so I am going to let Vice Chair Brown finish the meeting.
Thank you very much. Do I need to move up here or I can see from here? Next item on the agenda is new businesses. Do we have any new business to come to this committee?
C, we have
Well, we
C.
have C.
Oh, I am so sorry. Thank you. Item number C, agreement regarding the establishment of lake levels for Wolf Lake pursuant to Part 307 of the Natural Resource and Environmental Protection Act and the vacation of the Wolf Lake Drain and Wolf Lake SAD pursuant to Drain Code under page 153, and we have water resource no more. Okay. Roll call.
So let's, I might interject. We'll have explanation from our public works director of the change.
We
that
don't have a
occurred.
motion- we don't have a motion up there.
No, right, but I'm not sure there is a motion.
So moved.
If I may, during Water Resources Commissioner Brenda Moore, I'm trying to get your name right still, sent us an email on Friday last week after our meeting that we had during Public Works, because Public Works wasn't the correct forum to have that under. We need to bring it back to the Board of Commissioners, which is what she requested. So if you received your email on Friday, and then now it's on today's agenda. So this is the forum for this discussion to happen to move forward. Corporate Counsel and Matt and Brenda are all here, so hopefully we can get this handled today.
So yeah, so in front of you, everyone has an agreement. Is that And it's
Do we
been
need a
reviewed
motion?
and edited.
Yeah, we need a motion to move.
Charles already moved.
There's a motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Seconded. Now it's a roll call discussion.
No, we have discussion. now.
Discussion, any comments or concerns or questions? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Matt Farah about the revisions that were made from this, from the previous document we received.
Thank you, Matt, for Public Works. Item 6 on page 3 of the agreement that was sent in your packet. We had quite a discussion at Public Works Board. One of, and correct me, Brenda, where if I go off.
I'd like to make my own statement, if I could.
Okay.
So,
Which page, Matt, are you on?
Page 3 of the agreement, 155 of the agenda.
Thank you.
You scroll up on the screen, please.
There's, there seemed to be consensus that the board was willing to get, rid of item 6, which I do recall she expressed a concern of that. So I just, drew a line through it and sent it through.
Does she have a copy to look at to reference this? Did she have a hard copy? Does that help? No, okay.
Did you give her a copy of it?
I don't know who got a copy.
She's got it. She's got it.
But did she have it before? If you didn't give us a copy of what she sent you before, did you send her a copy of this before?
I sent it through, I did not. I sent it through the agendas.
May I continue? All right, so this is the agreement we passed before, except for the red part that you got Xed out or crossed out, correct?
Yes.
We've already passed this and she's refused to sign it at current, correct? Is that a yes? You refuse to sign it?
I would like to make a statement when Mr. First.
Well, this is your time. I'm asking a question. You've refused to sign the previous document.
Reviewed it again.
Doug,
at item
Doug.
number 6. Yes.
Ask her to come to the microphone.
Okay. Brenda, would you like to address that question?
I would like to.
Commissioner Warren.
But if I may back up.
No,
And then
I
I'll
have a
get you-
specific question, so please.
Can I make a statement too?
Well,
Okay.
please.
So my question was,
Trying to
the
get
board,
protocol here.
the board passed this motion. You refused to sign it. We had a meeting at the Board of Public Works. There was an expression of something you disagreed with. And Matt has crossed that paragraph out, paragraph 6. Are you still prepared to sign this now with this crossed out?
No, sir. I had more than that concern last meeting.
Well, that was the extent of my questioning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
Yes.
Mr. Chair Spillman.
It seemed, Brenda, if you could, it seems like there was a serious time constraint on this thing to get the county off the assessment course.
One of the things that I try to do, an olive branch, if you will, to get resolution to this issue is tomorrow, I have a board of determination. And I also have a day of review. We'll be at the conference center. It's going to be a lot of things going on. And what I'm doing is I'm reducing the size of the Wolf Lake district because the true lake level should just be people around the lake. When the drain district was, I don't believe it was duly created. I believe it was created inappropriately. That's one of the issues. It encompassed way too many people, unfairly too many people. So tomorrow I have the ability to reduce the size of the district, just lakefront property owners, because it's lake level. And I have a chance to look at the assessment roll. And one thing that I conceded is I would take the county out because counties now within the county are not usually in lake level assessment districts because you have the authority over them. And so that was kind of a step to get where we need to go. So tomorrow I had this scheduled way back in July. My email was, I hope you understand, after tomorrow, I have to be done. The book's closed. I will make the district smaller, but I can't take you out of the district if I don't have something I'm comfortable with.
Have you had a chance to read this agreement and with the Matt Ferris striking
No,
out.
no, and
So you
that's
have
part of
not
my
had a chance to
frustration.
look at this, but it's the same as Commissioner Loring had mentioned. This is the same, it's the same thing. And so there's certain points in here that you did not agree with.
I did not ask to be put on Public Works. I felt uncomfortable being put on the spot on Public Works. Thank you. I was looking at my phone. So I wasn't trying to muscle in on Public Works. So I was telling you I had many problems with this agreement. And I just used one example. And all of a sudden, oh, if we cross out that paragraph, she's going to be okay with it. I'm not. There's the crux of this being the drain district was duly it created, it wasn't. There's some discussion about abandoning the drainage district. I can't abandon anything, nor can you without a petition.
No, I think Mr. Ferris, Matt had mentioned he checks us on a regular occasion, the levels, and it fluctuates 2 feet there, so I don't know. It seems
That's
like,
immaterial to the agreement,
okay.
I'm not trying to sound combative. I'm frustrated because I'm trying to meet you part way. Only the county board has the authority to decide to do a study for a lake level. You can't just delegate it to me. You have to decide and then delegate. And there's a lot of extra language in here that I don't agree with and it's somewhat confused by that until I feel comfortable that I'm representing the district well and not getting either one of us into a hitch.
And so are we too. Commissioner Pagel, you got a question?
Yeah, so I started to ask some questions last week. It was not the right board because it was Board of Public Works. So I'm going to ask again today two things, two separate things, but they're obviously related so we can move forward with this. Brenda, I asked last Thursday and you weren't prepared to identify in this document what are those specific areas that you're not comfortable with that we can try to get to an agreement today, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, corporate counsel, Mr. Homier. I think I started to mention last week, within the county's authority and ability, we can ask for a lake level study to be determined, which I think is part of what Ms. Moore's issue is. She doesn't feel comfortable doing that. If
I do not have the legal authority.
So we have the authority to do that. Will it help us or harm us to move forward and one of us here today to make a motion to move forward with that lake level? I like Matt, Brenda, and corporate counsel to all give an input on that, where that would leave us.
My read is you don't need me whatsoever. You could ignore the drain district and say it wasn't properly created. We're going to take charge of this thing. And under our authority under Inland Lakes and Streams, we're going to authorize the lake study. We're going to take ourselves out of the district. We'll do the special assessment district and off you go. You don't need me. We don't need to butt heads.
Mr. Homier?
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to simplify something.
What I'm trying to figure out is what the objections are to the agreement specifically.
Exactly.
Not generally, specifically, because what the agreement says is not complicated. It says upon execution, the County Board of Commissioners will authorize a preliminary lake study and then delegates the Water Resource Commissioner as your delegate to accomplish these things. Now the real issue here is the cost. Okay, so the real issue is who pays for the cost if the lake level is not established. Traditionally, by petition under the Act, there's a way in which the county can recoup some of that money by requiring people petitioning for a legal lake level to deposit $10,000 to cover a part of the cost of the preliminary lake study. Because we're undertaking it, or the county is undertaking it on its own, you don't have that ability. So at risk, you have roughly probably $35,000 in terms of the cost of the lake study, including the legal cost, all of which goes away if the lake level is established. So if the circuit court establishes the lake level, then that gets assessed to the property's benefit. But last time, and I wasn't counsel last time this went through there, it was one, denied, and two, there were, I think somebody said 200 people objecting to the establishment of the lake level. What's curious to me, though, in all of this is that on one hand, you make a statement that the drain was not or was inappropriately established. And on the second part of that, you're taking actions pursuant to the drain code as if it was properly established. And you can't have it both ways. It either is unlawful from the beginning, which I do not believe. I think it was established. We can debate whether it was done properly or not, but that ship has sailed some 30 years ago. We are trying, however, to accommodate both the county's desires as well as Water Resources Commissioner's desires to establish a legal lake level. If the board said to me, we're comfortable in risking that cost, because I think it is likely, although not guaranteed, that the circuit court would establish a legal lake level based on a new study, then you can direct me to do that within the confines of the statute itself. The agreement seeks to do a couple of different things. One is make that designation as permitted by the act. Two, determine who's going to pay for that preliminary lake study. And three, then determine that the county is not going to be subject to any assessments under the existing drain. That's what the agreement does. So that's where we're at. Again, it doesn't matter to me one way or another. I think we finish in the same place. It's an allocation of risk and cost.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I think this board, correct me if I'm wrong, this board already approved to pay for the lake level study when we agreed to this contract. So we've already agreed to pay for it. Whether it gets approved or not, we've already agreed to pay the funds
To establish the lake level.
to establish the lake level.
Apparently, we're missing the link of making a motion.
So,
No, so the board already approved this agreement. Part of this agreement says if the lake level is not established, then the cost of that preliminary study would be assessed under the existing drain. And that's, as I understand it, one of the biggest issues that Water Resource Commissioner Moore has with the agreement, the assessment of those costs. Although I'm not sure how that squares with the statement made at the last meeting was that there are outstanding expenses and costs that would also be assessed to the existing drain district, which I'm not sure how you can do that either. If you follow my reasoning, right? There would be no basis if I'm understanding it correct.
Mr. Chair, so if I can continue with that, we agreed to pay for the lake level assessment and we agreed to forgive those outstanding debts. We've already agreed to that. What we have is a document that the county's board of commissioners have already agreed to, that the water resource manager has refused to sign, and we're at a standstill today. I'd like to make a motion to pursue litigation to force the drain commissioners or the water resource manager's hand on this issue. I believe that we have standing in this issue, and I believe that we could prevail with litigation.
If I don't have the authority to do something, I don't think you can force me to do it.
Well, I don't know what other recourse are.
Well, to the one is, I thought we already had a motion out there, but.
May I finish my statement?
Yeah, I asked a question. She still didn't get the answer. So.
What was your second question?
My first question was what specifically on this that you weren't comfortable with. The second part was directed to Mr. Homer, which he answered his portion. So I was still waiting to hear
My
back from you.
largest concern was taken care of, but I got a courtesy call to say, hey, you're on the agenda, and I never had this document. So I'd like the courtesy of review. And the good thing is tomorrow, our attorney is with me all day. She's going to bill on other things because we have a lot of business, and I'll set her down and say, okay, is this good now? Because I didn't want to spend more money and have our attorneys argue and wordsmith.
So, okay, so we have to take a vote on the first one.
I think you're not doing the final vote till later, right? I'm your full
Commissioner
board.
Beto, what did you?
We will vote on it to move it to full board.
May I?
Yes, please.
Ms. Moore, are you comfortable agreeing to this with the contingency of your attorney's approval? Can we at least get that far today?
If she doesn't approve, I don't sign it. Yeah, I'd be willing to do that. We're getting closer. But I'm not going to put the district or my office in jeopardy until I know that this is solid. Because remember, I felt like there was some wordsmithing going on. Your attorney is going to protect the county board and the county. He's not protecting the district. And I need to make sure that we're on the same page. And I think getting rid of this one paragraph makes me feel much better, but some other language is, I just want to make sure.
Can we, since she's here and she has the document in front of her, can we move this to an agenda item on the next special full board meeting we're talking about this Thursday? After her, that
I'll have an answer tomorrow. I'll feel much more comfortable tomorrow.
Right. But we're,
I would support that motion.
And I think
Can
she
you
may
move-
offer some wordsmithing, so I don't know if you're going to want to approve it on the fly any more than I do.
We can't. Tomorrow you have your meeting, but we won't be there to approve anything.
No, but
so-
Thursday I may return with some wordsmithing.
But that's what I'm asking.
And you're not
It's
going to
full
want to
board.
approve it on the fly any more than I do.
Yeah, I know, we're making excuses here, so Mark, what's, you had a comment, please, you have.
Yes, I mean, any changes that your corporate counsel would do, we obviously want Mike to review as
Correct,
well,
that's
right?
true.
So
Yes,
that's full board, it makes sense on Tuesday, but my understanding, she's making the decision tomorrow, whether or not.
I want to run it by our attorney, and you're, hey, Mr. Homer, you can come and hang out with us all day at the conference center. We'll hash it out.
Okay.
Nobody leaves until it's taken care of.
I'll make myself available to be there.
All right.
So we have, wait, we still have them, yes, sir.
We don't have a second.
Yes, sure.
You made a motion to amend and I didn't hear a second on that.
No, it didn't
I
get
think
seconded.
Susie did, didn't she? Oh, you
No, it
did.
didn't get seconded. So back to this, Brenda claims that she's not seen this document. We produced this document months ago. I know it's been in front of you. The only thing you haven't seen is the line, paragraph 6, that was Xed out. This has been months ago, at least 2 months ago, we passed this. You've had a copy of it. It's been sent to you.
It was given to me in July, and I said I wasn't comfortable, and I hadn't heard much sense until I'm on the Public Works agenda to be grilled, and you were all very kind. It's like,
Well, it was
My
it was
suggestion is
addressed
that
in
you
your
haven't
committee
seen it
meeting.
before is not true. You've seen this document minus paragraph 6. You may have not seen this revision.
I'm not comfortable signing something. I want to look it over with my attorney tomorrow. I don't think that's
So you've
unreasonable.
had it in July, August, downward into September. You've had several months to have your.
July, I rejected it and gave my memo, which I sent to all of you.
But we didn't get it.
I
from
didn't
that
look at
Carol.
it.
We just got it from you. So we didn't have it when we went to that week.
When I rejected this, I didn't pour over it anymore.
Brenda, can I just ask a question?
Sure.
If 30 years ago, when there were several hundred, so I hear, residents against setting the wake level, I'm not even sure why we're setting the wake level.
We have to.
I mean,
There's
why
some
don't we just let
liability.
Nature take its course.
Well, we could pull the plug and just not deal with it, but I agree with Mr. Homier that there, am I saying your last name right?
Yes.
Okay. I agree that there's some liability that this thing was established, the district properly or not, and that people have relied and made investment based on the existence of this pump. That pump is for a lake level. There's no drain, there's pipes, and therein lies the debate, what tool was used. The wrong vehicle was used. We need to get in the right vehicle.
Okay, I just, one last question. How do you cover your legal bills?
It gets applied to the district or districts that are being sued or because we don't get general fund for that. And I mentioned that.
So you can't just hire attorneys without attaching everything to the district.
Right, there has to be a purpose and it has to be a district business.
So the earliest we bring it back to Tuesday.
We can bring it back Tuesday then.
It's under business.
Why couldn't it go under the special full board on Thursday?
Her attorney reviewing it on.
It's tomorrow. She said she'll have a decision
Which is
tomorrow.
Wednesday, and then
But then you want the courtesy of review from Minister.
for the corporate counsel. If I suppose I could put on there if we don't have it.
Would Tuesday work?
You
Because
have
then
it,
they
yeah.
have time to.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
get copies.
You know,
Why don't we ask Mike?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I expound on that. It'll work because I have a certain amount of time when I'm reviewing the district and the assessments, and I have to sign a document. It's an order to close the books and make it so. So it has to be timely in terms of the apportionment, which is the 20% that you want to be out from
Can you
under.
just clarify something for me?
Yeah.
Mr. Homer said, we're gonna pay for the lake levels, right? We're gonna pay for, the county's gonna take care of any, the legal fees for that. So I don't know what skin in the game you have in this.
The authority to assess is never been about the money. Of course, we want to be frugal and not foolish with public resources, and the 60,000 or whatever that's out is, we can't recoup it reasonably. So it's been about, do I have the authority to assess? And my attorney's determination is you do not have the authority to assess because there's never been a lake level established. This drain district umbrella thing doesn't matter. Good luck with your umbrella, because you will be sued over that.
So there's something, yes.
So my question with that is then, if you are claiming that you don't have the authority to assess, and what authority do you have to reduce the size of the district and apportion the cost? Are you saying that you're not going to assess anything to anybody regardless of the?
No, I can recertify the district and change the district without assessing.
But last time we were here, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that there were outstanding expenses that you said you were going to assess to the district.
Yeah, there's about $52,000 that was spent before we went to court. I was operating under the assumption I was legal. And what brought this up, and I'm almost sorry I did this, is I've been having our attorneys systematically go through every district and every file to make sure that the district was legally established. I'm on solid ground. She got to Wolf Lake and she said, you know what? There was never a legal lake establishment. You don't have the authority to assess. I'd already accrued $52,000. Pipe broke, there was no valve, we had to put a valve in, we had to fix the pipe break. I mean, that was an emergency situation. I'm not gonna let Old Faithful go off forever and ever in the gentleman's campground. So that was all tied to an emergency situation before I learned through the research of historic documents that the lake level was never established.
But if you don't have the legal authority to assess, then you don't have it now. You don't have it, period.
Didn't assess it 50.
But you're saying you're going to.
If I get the lake level established and I tie it to that, I'm willing to take that risk. That is
what if you don't
spent. Then I have an account that's in the red.
Okay.
I'm not going to exacerbate the situation. And frankly, going on and on about things that happened before I learned was a problem, I see as counterproductive. I'm just trying to, this is a mess. I'm trying to take one step at a time to keep us both out of trouble and be fair to both sides.
I'll get back to the real issue, because the real issue is not who pays if it's established, it's who pays if it's not.
I just don't see that risk happening. You know that this is all a game of relative risk.
It's always a risk, right? That's why Judge Hicks didn't approve it the last time. It's always a possibility.
It was old,
not probably a good possibility, but a possibility. So my job then is to, how are we going to allocate for that risk? If the county board says to me, we're willing to pay for it and we're willing to accept the risk, that is not get reimbursed if it's not established, then I can revise this agreement accordingly. And I think we can get to a point where everybody's happy with that. Knowing, however, that the county is assuming the risk of that financial expenditure if it's not legally established, because that's how you form the special assessment district. That's how you recoup those costs.
Mr. Chair, the notion of relative risk, I mean, we're always at risk of being hurt or getting sick or getting sued. There's something of relative risk. I can tell you the risk of turning off the pump, you've been advised to keep it running and keep the bill going up. That's a bigger risk of just letting that run amok than will the judge approve a reasonable lake study. A reasonable judge is going to approve a reasonable lake study. That is my relative risk judgment.
All right, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Brown. Mr. Homer, so this risk that you're referring, if we take that out of this document, what is that financial risk?
So that means that the county would bear the cost of the preliminary lake study plus the legal proceedings, with the expectation that it will only be reimbursed if the legal lake level is established and the special assessment district also established to recoup those costs over some period of time.
Are you comfortable with that, Ms. Moore?
The notion of that, yes.
Are the rest of us comfortable with that? Is that an area that you would be comfortable moving us forward in, Mr. Homier?
Well, certainly that's the big question.
I do have one question on that. Brenda, if we did that, would we be able to recoup the money that we paid to establish the?
She said it would go to the drain district. After that's.
No, it goes to the special assessment district, and you know, those are all questions of relative risk as well. I would be taking relative risk to recoup what we spent when we were acting in good faith when a pipe broke.
But would you, if that changes would you assess for what it cost us to get the lake level established?
Absolutely, if it's legitimate. Now, the thing that I did have a problem with is the money that's been spent over the last 2 years or however long. I do not want to have to assess the people of the district due to our lack of coming to some conclusion.
And you don't want to have to assess.
That was already the 67,000 we agreed to forgive.
Right, and
we already
so
have
we
that
got somewhere.
eliminated.
Right, we got somewhere with that.
But those dollars that would be reimbursed for setting the legal lake level would be a different special assessment district than the one we're currently talking.
And that would go back into the county coffers if you
Like,
decide.
we're not talking about a drain district or a drain assessment district. We're talking about a special assessment district formed as part of the legal lake level,
And so
which would be likely smaller and only limited to those properties benefited, probably, just speaking out of turn, those around the lake.
Yeah.
There may be some additional, I don't necessarily want to foreclose that possibility, but
Can you
that's
verbiage
something
that
we'll
for me to make it into a motion right now? So we can go move forward, please.
Yeah, so.
I'd like to look at this with my attorney now and just, maybe we can come to a conclusion.
Okay, so. we have-
I thought there was a motion on the
I think we
floor.
just withdraw the motion. I bring it back on Tuesday.
We can bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that.
Is that,
Give everybody a chance
is that an
to.
agreement with everyone at this point?
Well, can I,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
haven't we already agreed to risk that? You said $35,000 to establish the lake level. We already agreed to risk that. I don't understand.
it's the second part that is addressed in this. That
The special assessment.
The Drain Water Resource Commissioner objects to, which is the recoupment of that if it's not established. So you think of this in two tracks. One is it gets established, you form the special assessment district, all that money that the county has spent in establishing the drain district gets recouped by assessments. The other track is it doesn't get established. Now you've got $50,000, $60,000 out there in costs. How do you recoup that? There's no mechanism other than recouping that as part of the existing drain assessment, which the drain commissioner has a disagreement about whether she can or cannot do that. She says she cannot do that, and it's a sincere disagreement. I'm not saying. So that's the issue, right? So either on this side, we get it established, it all gets paid for, we all move along happily, or it doesn't, and now you spend $60,000 to end up where we're at right now, which is the last time Judge Hicks didn't approve it, you couldn't recoup any of that money. You have now a drain district that is established, not assessing costs, Public Works is incurring that, the county at large is incurring that cost. That's how we got here. So I'm looking at the relative risk. Again, if the county says we're willing to pay for it without the expectation of getting it reimbursed, if we don't get it established, then we can move forward.
so a caveat to that is you're establishing a reduced drain district size. You said you have a meeting to do that.
It's a day of review. I'm trying to move us toward a lake level district. I'm trying to move us toward the intent of what that thing was put in there for.
So all this is about a drain district that your basic drain district in a month or 2 months.
I'm trying to get it closer where it ought to be.
So normally we set in these meetings and some of them are closed session, but we accept corporate counsel's advice. What is your advice, Mr. Attorney?
well,
I think I'd like to leave the room.
certainly authorizing the cost for the level study has already been done. pursuant to the agreement. It's the back end of that. And so you have to look at that in terms of the risk. What is the risk that we don't get it established? I think it's fairly likely we probably would, provided that that preliminary lake level study is supported by science that the judge can rely on in finding that, yes, there's a benefit to setting that lake level. If we do that, then we set up the special assessment district, we recover all of those costs. That is, in my opinion, less expensive and probably better certainty than litigation. So that's my professional opinion.
So when we agreed to pay for the lake level study initially, it was contingent upon this agreement for signing this?
Yes. Yeah. As stated in the agreement that those two tracks again. One is if it gets approved, the lake level, then we recoup it by setting up the special assessment district. If it doesn't, then who's going to bear that cost?
Which we said we would do.
We said we would do, initially we would fund it, but we would recoup it then by recouping that cost against the existing drain district.
Which is going to change because she's redoing the drain district.
Apparently.
So
And so one last thing I will say is, under the act, we don't need the Water Resource Commissioner approval to establish a legal lake level, right? You can authorize the lake level study, petition the circuit court to establish that legal lake level, and you can set up the assessment district. Now, there are some benefits in designating, say, the Water Resource Commissioner as your delegate to perform some of these tasks. So that is in this agreement as well. So what we'll have to determine on Tuesday is whether the County Board of Commissioners is comfortable in proceeding with funding the costs, knowing the risk, and then pursuing that petition with the circuit court, establishing the special assessment district, and then if you desire, naming the Water Resource Commissioner as permitted by statute as your delegate to perform those functions that are otherwise not required under the act by resolution of the county board.
Is that crystal clear to everyone?
Yep. I can't be your delegate unless there's a lake level period. Right. If there's only one thing we're churning. Lake level needs to be established.
Okay, sounds like that is. Commissioner.
Yes, I'd like to postpone this to Tuesday full board meeting when we have the full information and
I have a chance to
we have a chance to review it and hopefully it'll get resolved.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I know, I'm sorry about the frustration. It's like a catch-22 and I'm stuck in the same boat. Yeah, yeah. So let's
Can I one last thing?
Yes.
We have to.
Can you come prepared on Tuesday with the
as
final?
long as I'm told and I have the stuff, absolutely.
Yeah, I think there was some sort of lapse of communication where you weren't invited today to today's meeting.
That's okay. You can't babysit all your elected and department heads. I get it, but I also have this disease.
Thank you, Brenda. I'd like to move forward. Is this anything? Do we need a vote for?
Yes.
All in
we're gonna
favor?
vote on postponing.
Sorry. If that was a motion to postpone, I don't believe there was support.
Support.
Commissioner Wilkins supported it.
Thank you.
Apologize.
Motion postponed, and we have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
To the next full board on Tuesday.
All right.
I have one more question, please.
Wait,
We'd like to end the discussion on that and further, if you have any questions, if you could get with Mark.
Did we vote?
Yes. Yeah, just a
Voice vote. Okay.
voice vote.
I'd like to hear what Ms. Moore has to
I just
say.
wondered if Mr. Homier might be available via phone, at least to hash this out a little bit tomorrow. You can come down and have a donut with us, because I'm serious, I want to have this be done.
I should be available by phone most of the day.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
There you go. All right.
All right, moving right along. Good.
Yes, Stacy.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Sear. New business is next on the agenda. And we have, yes, I'm sorry.
I need to request a special full board meeting on September 9th.
Thank you, as new business, yes, so.
No.
All in, we have the vote on that?
We need a second.
We need a second.
I'm sorry?
Who seconded?
Second it?
Who?
I'll second it.
Okay, I got a question. Maybe it goes to the corporate council. There's two motions on the Ways and Means that we're doing this for, and that's the airport. It would be easy for us just to go ahead and do the Ways and Means, every one of them on Thursday. I'm not sure how we pull off just two, because we have to, the next full board, we have to do the minutes of this meeting. So would it be easier?
Let me ask you this, too. We've already, we've already approved those to go to full board. Couldn't we adjourn full board right now? And we can't because we have to announce it.
Can we make a motion to move those to the special full board?
Which ones are we moving?
All the Ways and Means from today.
Yeah. So you want to reschedule the Ways and Means.
So the question is, do I just pull those two off of the Ways and Means, or just go ahead and do the whole Ways and Means special on Thursday?
You could do the whole thing on Thursday as long as the agenda reflects that. So the agenda for the special meeting should state the purpose of that, which would be to consider the Ways and Means agenda that was discussed here today, right? And we can work on that.
Okay, so the real reason we're doing it is to get the airport grant money taken care of. We'll just do the whole Ways and Means.
Right.
Keeping in mind, though, that if we do that, it's got Brenda's issue on it.
We're postponing that till next Tuesday.
Okay.
We take that item off, which is what they just.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Or we could just stay here until next Tuesday.
No, let's move forward.
Bring food. We didn't have meetings on.
I don't think
On the
okay.
night.
We just have work sessions.
You need to vote.
Because I got community development.
Order, we need to vote.
Yeah, we need to vote. So, okay.
What are we voting on?
Voting on motion to consider moving all the Ways and Means agenda to the special board meeting, excluding the motion that's going to be considered next Tuesday.
That is correct. Yes. Thank you so much.
Everything but item C.
And yeah, item C. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We have that new system. We could go back.
I mean.
All right, any other new business at this time? If not, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Yes, sir.
Patrick Finning, District Court Administrator, I'll be very brief. I just wanted to thank the Ways and Means Committee and all of the commissioners for their time, their diligent effort looking into the court recording project. All of your questions were very timely, very well appreciated, and I want to thank you all for the consideration and the support, and I look forward to the full board support next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the comment.
There's
Any
none
other
on
public
mine.
comment? No, I'm not saying any final board comment. Yes.
I'm going to make a comment now. Obviously, you see the Mike's staff here in the audience, and then Mike Ballin back. We had planned a work session because we thought we'd get through this relatively quick. The sheriff has probably about 30 minutes, is my understanding, presentation, 25. And Mike Ball may have 10. The question is, do you want to do one or the other, or none, or it's up to you? I know another commissioner has to leave.
We have human services.
Oh, and we still have human services.
Yes, sir.
So I might just say, excuse the staff. And
Yes. I would
reschedule.
like to do that if I could.
I wonder.
We could have your staff, Mike and Mike. We can go right to that, please.
If I may, if there's going to be more commissioners meeting, I would just assume.
We still have another
This is too
agenda.
important.
And we have a whole other committee meeting to do.
We have human services.
So
They've been sitting here all afternoon
Yeah,
waiting.
I know.
Can
But
you
they
just
have
zoom
learned
us
so
in that
much
have to
on-
leave
yeah.
so he can proceed as he talked to us?
See how difficult this is?
Sheriff, if you zoom us in, those that have to leave, are you comfortable with that, or would you still prefer to reschedule? Just feel bad for everyone that sat here waiting.
Well, it's been a long meeting.
Yeah.
I'm done. Thank you.
So if we have any other, that would be final board comments. So we can adjourn this meeting and then we'll go into something. Okay.
So we're excusing our.